So when I saw your talk, and it says, right, you got the podcast, shout out to Experience Design Podcast.
Yes.
It's like, this guy's not in employer branding, but I know he's got something to offer to employer branders. So tell me a bit about your talk, about what was the kind of, why did you want to give this kind of talk at an employer branding event?
Yeah, I think also, let's just ground in for a moment as well about the theme for this year, which was like the human element.
Yeah.
And I think if this had been a typical employer brand event, I probably wouldn't have been here, quite frankly. I think it's, for me, the fact that the center of it is around human grabbed my attention. I obviously know Kat as well, want to support the community here because it is an amazing developing community here in the region. I think this region is very, very interesting.
Yes.
And you know, my personal mantra, journey, focus is around experiences, and experiences are inherently human.
Yeah.
So for me, it's about really just giving the audience some inspiration, some out of context, out of bubble thinking, without necessarily the answers, but just to invite people to think about experiences differently than perhaps how they're thinking about them today.
Yeah, okay.
And asking them to just maybe think about how they can recontextualize that into the employer branding world.
Yeah, nice.
Because I think, from the speaker lineup and the content that was being shared and all the amazing speakers, there was a lot of topics on employer brand content and the focus on employer brand industry, which was amazing. So my contribution to this festival was very much grounded in experiences, but with the intention to kind of add a little bit extra something in there that's a bit different as well.
So actually, I think when you were talking yesterday and when you've just said this now, it's reminded me of when it comes to like communication, internal, external, the focus is so often on the message we want to get out there. What does our brand stand for? Right, it's message. Yeah. It's visual consistency, it's tone of voice consistency, but what I love is it's our actions that represent what we're about as individuals, but also organizations, especially organizations that want to attract the right people into an organization. So I think you said something yesterday about the whole thing about experience is the marketing, is the branding. So tell me, let's talk a bit more about that. I love that.
So I want to anchor into this because this was actually a quote and a mantra from an amazing man called Joseph Pine.
Okay.
He co-authored the book, The Experience Economy.
Right, yeah.
Which actually was published originally in 1999.
Wow. Okay.
And for many are not aware of this book, it was so far ahead of its time that even industries and companies are still catching up with it today.
Brilliant.
And the element around the experience is the marketing is a real representation and an example, particularly in a way more social media driven industry than we've ever than ever right now, is people are seeking out experiences more than ever. They're buying experiences, whether it's Instagrammable experiences in the travel and leisure industry, or whether it's, as I shared in the presentation, Balenciaga, who decided to like completely kit out their retail store in pink, fluffy wallpaper and floors to entice the customer in to that experience, to engage the customer in sensory experiences, to something that they've never encountered before in a retail space.
Yeah.
But of course, as I shared yesterday, was like the first thing you do in these spaces is you pick out your phone, you take a photo, and you share it, and that's free. That's free marketing. Yeah. So when you're invoking an emotion or you're invoking like a memorable moment, most of us will try to capture that, both in terms of our memory, but of course socially as well, or taking photos. So for me, the experience is the marketing, and it can drive marketing, a very organic marketing in outcomes.
Yeah.
I will share just one additional one from an employee experience one, which we've all seen on LinkedIn. It's a small one, but it's a classic. Okay. It's the thing of like, how many times have we seen somebody join a business and they've taken a photo of their desk?
Oh yes, yeah.
With all of the merch that they have, and in sharing that feeling of being welcomed into the organization. I feel connected, I've met some amazing colleagues already, and I've got this amazing merch. Now, for me, that is a great example of like, just on a very minute level, a micro moment of how that moment of just having a merch box can create a marketing opportunity
Yes.
of sharing it out naturally and organically on their LinkedIn. Super simple.
Sure, and actually, so something else you talked about in your talk yesterday was a massive collection of people wearing white,
Yes.
having food together. Probably not maybe maybe not spaghetti bolognese, because of the whiteness,
Yeah, absolutely.
But tell me a bit about that, because I love that. I love that. Let's share a bit about that story.
Yeah, so I mean, it's an example that I shared, which was Le Dinner en Blanc, which is a global movement, and is just like, as I shared, it was like a beautiful example of an experience, an intentional experience that is designed for memorabilia to create, really invoke emotion and memory.
Okay.
It's also to invoke community. So the whole kind of concept and the whole experience is centered in a city, a major city, and when you sign up for it, basically there are a number of parameters. One is that you dress in white. Everybody dresses in white. The other one is that you bring your own food and drink. So there's a passion for food. There's a passion for sharing.
Yes.
And of course, the most important thing, there's a passion, an underlying thing for community.
Yeah.
And a lot of cities are struggling right now in some dead areas in cities. How do you create community in big cities? And this was a great example of how an experiential approach to buying a ticket for an event, you actually don't know where it is, so it creates intrigue and excitement.
Yeah, nice.
And then all of a sudden you get a message saying this is where it is in the city, and then thousands of people suddenly appear like ants into this area, and there are tables and your contribution with food and drink, and you get to meet other people, and then you end up with a DJ and a party, and it's just a beautiful way of building connection, friends of friends of friends. Building these networks, and I think that for me is like epitomizes this thing back into Empple, is around human, and like just not forgetting, like we are amazing, and I don't think we utilize our amazingness enough, and we don't honor it enough, particularly in the workplace. So we need, like in this more social context, we're seeing more and more people buying experiences because they want to maybe break out of their norm, or they want to break out of the life that they're in just for a moment and immerse themselves in a completely different environment. Yeah. And Dinner en Blanc was a great example of that.
Awesome.
So yeah, it's beautiful.
I think so. Well, people listening and maybe going, well, I'm not going to be able to put fur all over my office, so I'm not going to be able to do this. But I think obviously because of COVID, yes. And I think it was still fair to talk about COVID, because some people are bored of it, but it's a major thing. What it did do is made sure that a lot more people are not working in the office now. I'd argue that actually creating those experiences are that much more important for employees. Because if you're going to come into the office, a bit like coming to events instead of doing online events. Yes. If you're going to come to the office, make it intentional, make it an experience, and something that people want to be part of. So, how do you go about doing that when you're not this big brand?
Yeah. So I mean,
or you don't have the big budgets, that kind of thing.
I think so. My advice on this. And particularly if we're bringing like this experience thing into the context of employee experience, because there are, even though we've got EX as a name that we give some of this stuff, principally we are still designing for humans, and we're designing intentionally experiential moments or experiences. And the thing for me is you can think on like 3 different levels. Let's take employee onboarding, or you can do a core week where you're bringing your global team together. Okay. However you look at that, that's a part of a journey that isn't an isolated element. There's a before, or there's a before, during, and after. So when you're thinking about putting together a team event, think about it not as an isolated specific experience, think about it as part of a wider journey. And actually when you're bringing humans together for that moment in time, building community or connection, how is it part of the broader story? How is it part of the broader narrative? And actually, how are you actually thinking about, okay, we know that we want to build, or we want to do co-creation, ideation, or strategize as a business, as a team. How do we think about that then as an experience in itself, rather than in a boardroom just looking at a bunch of PowerPoints and having maybe a couple of Post-it notes on a wall.
Yeah.
With the lowest budgets, experiences don't have to cost the earth. It's just thinking about it in a much more intentional way and creating an environment for that. In addition to that, just to get this really granular, if we think about onboarding, if I said to you, Chris, we need to redesign onboarding as an experience, you'd be like, that's quite a big journey to take on that. So if we then think of that as a macro journey, then you have a micro journey. So, hey, Chris, how about we redesign the first day experience, just day one?
Yeah, nice.
That's slightly more tangible. The second they switch on or sign in on that first day to the first day when they leave, how can we make that an experience? I've had a beautiful example of that, of a company who, during the recruitment process, a guy was moving from Sweden to London. And during the recruitment process, the hiring manager and the recruiter went to work on what could we find out about this candidate or candidates at the time of a personal thing.
Nice.
Just so happens this individual loved Premier League football.
Okay. Yeah.
Guess what was in his merch box when he joined? 2 tickets to Arsenal.
Oh, that's gold. Yeah, that's brilliant.
Okay. So that's just a small token.
Yeah.
I know, I'm a Liverpool fan.
I know what you mean.
But you get my point.
Man,
it's just a little tiny
same.
intention. Or again, you can go down to a nano experience and just have this on a very specific, tiny thing, which could just be the tickets or a very small, intentional moment that is considered and personal.
Yeah, lovely.
So it doesn't have to be a big thing. Just is the small things can make the big difference, and it doesn't need a big budget.
It's true, and actually, what you're talking about, is shades of like user journey mapping and going, actually, let's look at the process people are going through. Actually try and walk in their shoes a bit.
Absolutely.
Bring experts to go, well, what one thing can we do? And I love that. It's talking to Ben earlier on. It's this thing about there are little things you can do. So actually, you don't feel like you're leaving a conference and you're having to get to the top of Everest. It's actually bit by bit, as long as there's intention there.
Absolutely.
And there's some sort of plan to be a first step of something, then happy days.
And I would say, just to build on that for just a final piece on this, is just like when you're designing for people or creating something for people, do it with and for them.
Yes.
And I think this is the big challenge in many organizations, is that people are trying to justify their job or they're trying to bring value to their job, which is completely valid. But if you're forcing your ideas on others and what you think that they want or what experience you think that they want, then in my mind you are starting in the wrong place. Even though you have this beautiful energy and intention for the work that you do, ground in the needs of the humans in which you're designing for or creating for. So it just means get curious, listen, ask questions, understand where they are, what are their needs, what are their wants, what are their desires, where are they, how can you serve them from that place? Because everything you need is in the minds of those people.
Absolutely.
You just need to unlock it and be curious.
I mean, there could be a whole episode which we won't do, but there could be a whole episode about socials, company socials. Well, we're bringing people together, and they're going to, have drinks and some food, and great. So why wouldn't they turn up? Because they should appreciate it. But actually, do what you say. Talk to your people, find out really what's right for them, and if they're part of it, then there's more chance they're going to be fully involved in that experience. Rather than what one often sees in organisations when it is enforced. But appreciate it. Thank you very much.
Yeah,
always good to chat. Thank you, man.
Thank you.
I'm going to listen to your podcast as well more. I've done 3 episodes.
Oh, nice.
Including your anniversary episode.
Oh, cool.
Which I liked.
Nice.
So that was good. But
nice.
Cheers, man. Thank you.
Thank you.